So I kind of had accepted the fact this kid's really good, this kid's ranked, and he's tough, and it was going to take a lot of sharpening of the axe. And so it was close, but I knew that I had done the work to make it easier in the second part of the match.
Yeah, I guess how much just that 3-point takedown you got just really flipped the momentum?
Yeah. No, I mean, I knew that I was going to get one, right? Even if I didn't get it 0-0 going through going to the second, I knew that I was just going to keep swinging, and it was eventually going to click.
Home opener for both of you two. Just how was this crowd just so impactful? And how full it was?
Man, it's so special. I think back to my first duel here against North Dakota State as a freshman, and competing, and we had fans, and the fans that were here were loyal, and they were loud, and they were getting after it. But just seeing how the program's developed, and how the fan support has grown, and they've recognized kind of the hard work that we put in, it's just awesome. It's so rewarding. It's special getting your hand raised, and winning big matches and accomplishing cool things. But what's even more special is watching the impact that we have on the sport here in Lincoln and just in Nebraska in general. It's really special. It's awesome.
Yeah, Cialis, you come out hot, getting a couple takedowns. Just what was working so well to just get that pin so quickly?
I mean, new addition to the staff this year. Not really new addition, old addition now. Robert Kokish. He was here. Yeah, re-addition. He was here my first couple of years, and then he left, went back to the family farm, and then he just came back this year. And man, I love wrestling with him. He's a huge top wrestler, and we've just spent a lot of time kind of working on it and developing that side of the sport for me. I've always been a really big neutral guy. I've always loved finding takedowns and attacking on my feet. And yeah, just really tried to hone in on top wrestling, finding turns, being dangerous in every position. And yeah, tonight it presented itself, and I got a chance just to go for it. It was awesome.
What can you guys say about LJ taking down number 16 tonight?
Oh, I've always believed in my Brazilian boy, right? Ever since when they were recruiting him, right? And I got to speak to his dad in Portuguese, and as well as Marco. I've loved those dudes, and I see LJ as a bigger me, right? I think that sometimes his match just maybe look a little sloppy, but I just think that as he gets better, more time on the mat, he's gonna keep beating dudes like that, really good wrestlers, but he's just gonna keep getting better and better and better, and he just moves forward. I love it.
Yeah, no, he has the X factor where the dude just loves the sport. Like that's really big, because what we do is really hard. The training's hard, practices are hard, cutting weight's hard. It's a difficult sport, and he's got the passion for it. He loves it, and I think that plays a really, really big part in his development, his growth. And I see him being the kind of guy who might take a couple lumps this year, might lose a couple matches, but he's going to kind of grow in the fire and be forged by it. And I think that he could have a really special year.
Yeah, of course, Kale comes up short in the first match, but you guys win the final 9. That definitive of a victory over a top 25 opponent. What does this just mean to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I actually was recruited by the coach for Army right now, Troy Nickerson. He was actually at Northern Colorado, and so I knew going into this duel that he was going to put 10 guys out there that were going to fight. And at Northern Colorado, he was working with a bunch of kids from Northern Colorado, but now that he's Army, he's got a lot of straight-laced kids. He was going to put a really good product out on the mat. I think that it was really good for us to get those wins. And even Kale, he hangs his head, on that loss. But I think that, he's just, I lost my first match, right? When I NDSU, the duel that he was talking about earlier. And so, the more time you spend kind of in the moment, the better that they're going to get. And getting wins like this over guys from Army that are really, really tough is just going to snowball.
Yeah, I just think for us it's kind of letting the past be the past. I think last weekend at Navy we had a few guys who I think carried this expectation that based on the results of last year was going to be easier. We might have more respect. Opponents might fear us a little bit, whatever. But this sport's just hard. Everyone comes out swinging. We have a target on our backs. Every time we step on the mat, for the most part, we have everything to lose and nothing to gain. Our opponents can just freely swing because they're not expected to win. So for us, carrying that expectation of maybe it's going to be easier is just just got to forget about it, because every single match it's going to be, a dogfight. Always be prepared for the fight. Never think it's going to be easy. And I think there was a little bit of buy into that tonight where, guys maybe got frustrated, matches may have been tough, whatever, but we got it done. Prime example of AJ's match. It was tough. The guy was wrestling him, hard and being stingy and maybe a little defensive, and AJ just stuck with it, stuck to the game plan, and he got it done. Like, that's part of it. Like, guys are going to wrestle. It's tough. They want to win, so.
Now looking ahead, how pumped are you guys to head down to Tulsa?
So excited. I can't even, it's hard. This is a different season, right? Usually the tempo would be going to Vegas here in a couple weeks. But, I think this is just because it's so new and because it's, we're going to see some guys that we don't usually get to see. And it's going to be in this really cool setting. I think, maybe that was a little bit of, we've been doing our best to not look past these past 2 weeks to next week, right? And now that it's here, it's like when you're a little kid looking past Halloween and Thanksgiving, ready for Christmas. Christmas is finally here, right? Like, we can go do the thing that's fun. We can go do the thing that's, new.
Yeah, I couldn't say any better. I'm excited. I think it's an awesome opportunity. I'm ready to go compete, to scrap, to face some high-level competition and just see where we're at. I'm excited for it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach, just home opener. How was that crowd tonight, and how did it feel to essentially dominate a top 25 opponent?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Our guys wrestled really tough, and they're like Brock and Silas were referring to Army. They're tough up and down the lineup. So no one's a pushover, and so having a match like this, it just reinforces what our guys are about. We're a well-conditioned team, and you just take pride in being persistent in our approach. And in this sport, you just have to stay. Your mindset's so important in tight matches when guys are trying to hold you off and slow you down. So I think we can take a lot away from this and use it to our advantage coming up, for national duels.
How much just over the offseason, LJ takes down a number 16 ranked opponent tonight. How much of the offseason growth have you seen from him to get to this point?
Huge. He's put in, amazing summer. He's like each one of those guys out there. They put in a big summer, and that's where you make jumps. You don't make that many jumps other than little corrections on technical errors that you might have during the season, but you make a big jump right there in the summer, and that's what LJ did. And 165 is a really good weight for him, and so he feels really good and strong there. And he's got better on his feet, and he's got better on top and bottom, and he makes him a complete wrestler.
What did Antrell say, if anything, to you after the match? I mean, Antonio really gave him everything he had.
Yeah, that's a typical guy from Army. He's going to try to slow you down, shorten the match, try to make it a one takedown match, and he did a good job. That's just sometimes you're not going to be lighting people up all the time. You'd like to, and we'd love that, but it's unrealistic. In college athletics, it's just these guys are good too. He has a lot of pride, and he's trained well and coached well, and slowed Antrell down. So he did a good job of doing that. That's where we're gonna use that to our advantage and make Antrell better in some of those positions where he slowed him down at.
How do you think AJ did in his debut? Simply,
I think he did really well. I think he was the aggressor the whole time, even though it was only 1-0 going in the third period. He was the aggressor, and I thought he just stayed that. He's a tough-minded guy, AJ Ferrari. He is a tough-minded guy, and he did a really good job. he's a good addition to our team, and you know, he's going to learn from what he. There's some situations where, you know, he got slowed down a lot like Antrell. You know, they knew AJ has a big motor. They knew Antrell has a big motor. You know, they're offensive guys. They're not just, hey, I'll do a couple moves. They're offensive all the time, and so, you know, people are going to slow them down. So we're going to take a lot away from what this young man did to AJ. So it's good learning time.
How impactful was it to have Bud Crawford lead you guys out?
Man, wow. I'm grateful for, you know, the 70 plus alumni that came. I can't, you know, it makes my heart full, man, to see all those guys that I don't get to see a lot. You know, guys like Jason Powell lives down in Oklahoma. I mean, just, you know, that just reignites those relationships that I had with these guys. And, you know, a lot of guys that came before I was coaching here are here. And, you know, that shows a lot that they really have a lot of respect for, you know, and then a lot of pride for their team and their school, you know. Nebraska's their school, and I know I've heard from other alums that keep in touch with, you know, have the inner network of keeping in touch with their group of people, and they're, you know, everyone's really, you know, a lot of pride in Nebraska wrestling now, and really cool to see people make the time to come back. You know, we have people from all over. It's not like, hey, we live out in the Northeast and everyone lives down the road 2 or 3 hours. You know, we have people from all over, and so 8 All-Americans from 8 different states last year, and that's pretty much how Nebraska wrestling's been built. You know, we have people from all over, so really to take the time and be here is, man, warms my heart.
Yeah, building on that, I know you guys launched having like a student section.
Yeah.
And you said you, before the season, you said you worked damn hard to make this relevant here. Mm-hmm. How does this home opener compare to when you first got here?
Not really. Sitting right here, I was in the wrestling room. This is the wrestling room right here. So this concourse right here, this was our wrestling room. So, you know, not even close. We were always looking, you know, men and women's basketball. You know, I'm dating myself, man. Played out here. You know, they practiced out here. There was no men and women's practice gym. I mean, we were wrestling over the Coliseum. I had to beg and plead to get into there. Volleyball played in there. So it was, you know, just a constant, you know, trying to get, you know, we wrestled a lot in the track because there was there's something going on at the Coliseum, or volleyball was playing, or something was going on. We couldn't get in there. I mean, the only place we wrestled in the track. So,
looking ahead to Tulsa national duels, what do you really want to see from your guys just this week with preparation?
Yeah, we're going to put in some hard days of training, but then we'll back off and make sure these guys are really fresh. You know, next weekend it's a big weekend, a lot of pressure on them. You know, it's cool. They've earned this right to be in these moments, and let's go win these moments. And so it's really good field. Obviously, a lot of good teams, and you know, we got to take care of Lehigh first round. They have a good lineup, so a lot of good guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thanks. Go Huskers.